Hey guys, a warm welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're back on the Boxer. Now when you take on a project of this magnitude, it is very easy to become a bottomless money pit. Now today, I'm going to show you though, how you can save some vast amounts of money without sacrificing anything other than a fancy cardboard box. So kick back, grab yourself a, we'll do that bit in a second, and enjoy. Cheers. Now it looks like I've got no choice but to pull the engine out on this. I was hoping I was going to be able to do quite a lot of work with it in situ, but I'm going to get a crane. We're either going to do that here and move the Ratarossa, or I'll look at other options. But today, there's some other things I need to do. First of all, we're going to look inside the tanks and see how bad they are, if they survived, if we can use them. A look at the fuel system and start working our way around it while it's still here. First things first though, let's give it a bit of a clean up in that area. Next thing I want to do is take a look in both the fuel tanks. To do that, I've managed to get my cheap scope working, and it's not too bad actually. Okay, so just pushing it to one side there and putting it in. Let's see what we can get on the screen. Now here you can see that is the fuel level sensor. Now I was expecting to see that's really all furred up, but and I'm going to change that. That's not expensive. You can see that there is fuel inside the tank still, and you can see quite a lot of muck at the bottom. Just having a little push around in there. This is me if I move the that is the tank level sensor. Well, I don't think there's anything bad down there that can't be cleaned out, so that is a good sign. It's not too bad. I was expecting a lot worse, to be honest. Let's take a look down there, shall we? It looks pretty clean down the bottom of this one, so that is happy days. The only thing that is bad is actually the pipe, but I have a fix for that. That I'm very happy with. I wasn't expecting that. So the other side needs to be cleaned out, which means the engine has to come out. We've inspected both fuel tanks on the car, and the one on the other side seems to be miraculously very clean in there. There's no fuel either, which was probably a very good thing. This one, however, has got some old fuel in it, and it looks a little bit cruddy at the bottom. So I'm going to start by draining the old fuel, and then we're going to just do one other job that might just save me a bit of money on this project. So a couple of things we're going to be doing here. We're going to be looking at these. So we've got a fuel filter here, we've got an accumulator up there, and also the fuel pump, and we've got the same on the other side over here. So I'm going to be taking one of those off, but first of all I need to drain the fuel. Now we have this pipe that connects with the two tanks, and I've just started to loosen that off, which is great. At least I have my gloves on this time. Oh, look at that, completely dry. So okay, if I put my finger up there, I can feel some sludge. You can just see my finger is slightly wet. I wonder if I put a screwdriver in there or something like that, and thin screwdriver here, you can see it's gonna just, well, you can see it's starting to drip now. There we go. You can't smell this, guys, but Doesn't smell too bad for 12-year-old fuel. So while the last few dregs of fuel come out of the pipe, I am going to start up here. So like I said, I've sprayed all of this just to loosen off all our connectors. This whole thing comes off as one unit. It's on a little plate here. So I'm going to take that out and then we're going to inspect some numbers on this one. Let's have a look. Expecting a bit more fuel to come out of here. Not too bad. Right, so that's one, and then I've got one more connector up here to take off this fuel pipe. Not bad. Okay, so now I should be able to take 2 brackets off and 2 connectors, and then we're good. Right, so we have our fuel kind of bundle out of the car here. Now there's 2 reasons I want to do this. Number 1 is just test it, and number 2 is, more importantly, get some part numbers off this. So if you have a look here, there's one down here. That is 0438170004. That's on my accumulator. I should have one on my fuel pump as well. We've already got a fuel filter as part of the service kit. But if we have a look at this, 0580254975. So both of those are Bosch parts. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those part numbers in just a second. But first of all, let's test this to see if it actually works. Now I'm going to be replacing all 3 of these fuel system items, the accumulator, the fuel pump and the fuel filter. In fact, I'm going to be doing it double because it's exactly the same setup on the left and the right side of the Boxer. But I think after 12 years it deserves it, and I don't want to take any risks with this one. However, it would be a good little test to see how well these have fared up, just sat around. Now it wouldn't surprise me if the fuel pump and the fuel accumulator are actually original to the car, so they're probably 1983 build. Got my battery tester, we've got it hooked up. This is a bucket of water, so this is mimicking my fuel tank. That's drawing water into the fuel pump, round to the fuel accumulator, down into the fuel filter, and then this would go all into my injection system. Let's just put that there just to see if it happens. So we're going to put our negative, and then if I just carefully tap that, so you can hear something is happening with the fuel pump, but nothing is being dragged in and nothing is coming out of that. So something is blocked, something is not working correctly. Now I can narrow this down very slightly. So if we run the same test again, this time we're going to narrow it down to our fuel pump. Now we've got the pipe coming off to our accumulator, so what we should see is water being drawn through and coming out the end here. Let's try it. So again, you can hear the pump working, but as you can see, absolutely nothing, not even a dribble coming out at the end. So we definitely have a problem, at least with the water pump. It wouldn't surprise me if we had, these things don't last forever. So we are going to replace all of those anyway, but that is just peace of mind that I'm not wasting money putting parts into this car that are actually working. And it doesn't surprise me because I had exactly the same problem with the 308 and the Testarossa, both of which had been sat around for years, and the pumps and everything had to be replaced on those as well. Let me give you an example of how you can save vast amounts of money on a project like this without having to sacrifice originality or quality. So if I go to Ferrari and I put in here the fuel accumulator, the fuel pump, and also the fuel injectors for the BBi. Now remember, I need 2 accumulators, 2 pumps and 12 injectors. All of these are made by Bosch, as you saw on the part numbers that came out of the car. And the only difference being these come in a Ferrari box. Now when you put these in the car, the boxes go in the trash anyway, right? So the grand total for these with VAT is £2,121. Now, if I go online and I have a look on eBay here, all of these are from the same supplier. They are all original Bosch parts. They even say on some of these, look, this is the Ferrari part number for the fuel pumps. 2 of those, 2 accumulators and 12 fuel injectors. The grand total is £632. That is a saving of £1,400 £188. In other words, for the cost of boxing those bits with a Ferrari box, you are paying almost 3.5 times what you can buy those parts for, and they're exactly the same part. So as you saw, these are the 12 injectors we're going to be replacing at the same time. Now at that price, it's just about the same as paying someone to take these out, test them and clean them. We may as well just put some new ones in. We can also save money in places like fuel distributor. We can buy a repair kit for that. That's about £100. Cold start valves, these we're using Mercedes at the same time, even I think on some VWs. And it's the same story with many other items on the car. For example, these spark plugs are just Champion. Now if you check out the part number on those, you'll find you can save a load of money on things like this too. Now whilst we have that scope working and it's all cleaned up here, let's pull some of the plugs, get the scope down there and see what our state of play is like inside this one. Keep those fingers crossed. Well, this is about as good as I could get with the camera and the angle. Unfortunately, my scope's only got one camera on the end, so this kind of gives us a good indication though, and all of the 12 cylinders look much the same as this. Now thanks to everyone who commented or sent me a message about our problem with the engine ignition system here, the Dynoplex. Now it appears that people have got BBIs or Ferraris of the same era, even Porsche 911 SCs, I think the model was, from the 80s, that run a very similar system, and the noise seems to be the same with everybody else. Now I'm not sure from the videos if mine is slightly noisier, if that's on its way out. But either way, there are other options. You can't buy them new, but there are people who repair them, and there's a lot of information on websites like this. So very, very cool. Thanks guys for the help on that one. I also just managed to get this fuel tank level sensor out of the car. That was a bit further up. I cleaned it up. I thought it could actually be recovered. It didn't look too bad. But as I started to do that, this arm that has the float on the end sits like that normally, but as you can see, what happened is all of that just started to kind of rust away, and it was so thin it started to bend, and then it just snapped off. So that has got to be replaced now, which is not too bad. I think it's about £70. Now that I have all of the fuel pump off, all of the pipes off, even the fuel sender unit out of this tank, it's a standalone tank. I've also plugged up those the pipe, everything like that, so it's all sealed. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to use some cheap brake and clutch cleaner. I'm going to pour it in here, and we're just going to leave that for a couple of days just to work its magic and hopefully ease up some of that gunk down the bottom there. Okay, so that's 5 litres gone in, and that can stay in there until we decide on the next move with this one. So there you go guys, that is just some of the tips that I use to save lots of money on big ticket items when you are crazy enough to take on a project like this. So I'm going to go away now, I'm going to order up those bits, I'm going to try and also figure out how the heck we're going to get this engine out of here, but more to the point, where we're going to put it when we get it out. Until I work that one out, you guys can check out what I get up to on a daily basis over on my Instagram account, and I will see you very shortly in the next one. Ciao for now.